All right. I want to say peace to everybody that's listening. So praise the Most High and peace to everybody that's listening. I had every intention of doing something totally different in the message, and I've been sitting here contemplating whether or not to do it. And the reason I have total transparency is because this is simply not a political page. Okay, I talk about politics at times when something major happens, but this is not a political page, but I'm always speaking from the biblical perspective. So, but when I saw believers, and I'm not talking about people, self-professed Christians who keep every pagan practice known to man. I'm talking about people of the faith supporting individuals that are putting forth wicked policies. I am inclined to say something. Okay. And so I had every intention of doing something different. And another reason I don't want to be, I contemplated whether or not saying this is because I didn't want to be misinterpreted as I'm telling you to support a different candidate. I'm telling you that you cannot support wickedness in general, wherever it's coming from. That's my point in bringing this forth. So when I saw this, it struck me because initially, and I'll touch upon it when I show it, I thought candidate Harris was going in an entirely different direction when she started speaking. And so it just more and more people need not be deceived in thinking that these candidates are in any way righteous, particular, or they are somebody you should support. You cannot support wickedness, somebody that you know is engaged in wickedness. I want to share my screen. Give me a moment here. Give me one moment here. I share my screen and you'll see what I'm talking about. And when I saw this, I was taken aback by it because, again, I just didn't expect it. Just give me one moment here. Now this is Kamala Harris, and fair use, YouTube, fair use. This is for educational purposes. This is Kamala Harris, and I want you to pay attention to what she says here. This is from, I guess, a form transform, the White House, hence the word, or focus on the word trans. Pay attention. All you believers.
I was Attorney General. I learned that the California Department of Corrections, that they were standing in the way of surgery.
For prisoners.
Now I'm gonna stop right there. When I heard that first part, and this is a short clip, I just came across it. Wasn't looking for it, just happened to come across it. When I heard her say that, I thought she was saying that there was a prisoner that was ill and that they were not giving him or her assistance, like aid, that a life-saving or necessary surgery. This is what I thought she was saying initially. But that's not at all. Then I took a closer look at who she was speaking to. I said, oh, this is something entirely different. It took me a moment. I caught on, but it took me a moment. All right.
And there was
let me start from the beginning. It's only 40 seconds. Yeah, fair use, YouTube, fair use.
When I was Attorney General, I learned that the California Department of Corrections, that they were standing in the way of surgery.
For prisoners.
And there was a specific case. And when I learned about the case, I worked behind the scenes to not only make sure that that transgender woman got the services she was deserving. So it wasn't only about that case. I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need.
Okay. So now clearly, if you are a believer, this is a contradiction to your faith. You cannot support that. And you know what happened? Just a side note, you know what happened? I think I heard her say the same exact thing or tell the similar scenario or story to a reporter. And that may have been where the confusion came in, because she tells it, I believe, in the same exact way. Maybe that's where I thought that she was referring to a prisoner, because I think that's what I saw first. But nevertheless, you can't support that. How can you justify that? And what you have, so she's adamant about having an abortion. She's adamant about this, what we just watched, and yet you have these so-called leaders of our people. Our leaders are entertaining. Malcolm X, or hell asked me to Sebastian, he said this, that our leaders, what you can't even take us seriously, I'm paraphrasing. Our leaders are entertainers, athletes. That's what you have. So you have comedians that run the airwaves of Black radio, like Ricky Smiley, who was in a dress. He's talking about who you better vote for. Or you got Steve Harvey, another comedian, giving bad advice to women about how they should act like a man, giving the so-called Negro more bad advice about who you should vote for, giving her a lob, as you will, so she can dunk, and then say how you expect them to do something for Black people. If they're not going to do something for you, why would you even consider voting for them? Everybody else is concerned about what the individual is going to do for them. I'm not saying that should be your only concern. I'm not saying you should be focused on this anyway, but what I am saying is that it is asinine for us to think that you're going to get something out of this, but a kick in the behind, which is what, quite frankly, what you deserve if you go along with this madness. The same thing with Obama. You cannot support, he again, similar policies, culture, and you see culturally, and you see what he brought forth. You see what happened on his watch. So let's go to Jeremiah, the 17th chapter. Jeremiah, the 17th chapter. Jeremiah, we'll pick it up at Jeremiah 17 and verse 9. Because what we should understand is, just because somebody has it in their mind that they feel that they are a certain way, it does not mean that you should capitulate to that as a society. It certainly doesn't mean that. And it doesn't mean that the person's thoughts are correct. Just because somebody is spiritually sick or has a warped mind does not mean you feed into their warped mind and butcher them. They're going to look back. If we continue, they're going to look back at this particular age and say, what in the hell were they thinking? Just like they did, you had lobotomies, when you had forced sterilization. You look back, man, that was unethical. What were they thinking? I remember listening to some people in a professional capacity, and it came up what the ancient Mayans would do. They sacrificing people, and everybody was up in arms. I can't believe they did that. What were they thinking? I'm thinking in my head, can they compete with you, all the babies you killed through abortion? What are you thinking? And what we should understand about the human mind is this. This is Jeremiah, the 17th chapter, because what are people thinking? Jeremiah 17 and verse 9 reads, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? So what's on your mind? A bunch of madness. That's what's on your mind. That's what man thinks about. So why should you be playing into somebody who says they think they're one thing, but the Most High made them something else? The Lord made them something else. It's clear what you are. It's clear what you are. Let's go further with this. Let's go further with this. Let's go to Let's go to Genesis, the 6th chapter. Because what you're doing is you're destroying his creation. It's satanic. Genesis, the 6th chapter. And here, this is prior to the flood, prior to the destruction that was judgment from the Lord. It says, and God, I'm in verse 5, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Again, see, they used to treat this thought, when somebody was clearly a biological man, they thought they were a woman. They treated that as a mental illness. Okay? And oftentimes I say, I come from a spiritual perspective. I say something's wrong with you spiritually. Your thoughts are spirit. And just like I saw today, a kid walking around, the older kid walking around, you think you a dog, so you got a dog mask on and a tail, and you with your mama. See, you're feeding into this madness that he didn't make you into a dog. He made you to be what he is. As it is written, ye are God's children of the Most High God. Let's pick it up. Let's pick it up at let's just pick it up in the basics, because apparently people have lost their minds. Genesis 1 and verse 27. Let's see what he made. He says, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. He made you male and female. Now, what did he do? What was this for? Again, ultimately, a man and a woman would come together and do this. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Let's go to Malachi. Because he made a man, then he made a woman from that man. And he brought them together and made them one flesh. Why? Let's pick it up in Malachi. See, because you're talking about, someone said, why are you talking about sex? Because that's ultimately what this is about. How you view yourself. This is Malachi from that perspective. Malachi 2, and we'll pick it up at verse 14. It says, yet ye say, wherefore? Because the Lord hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously, yet is she thy companion and the wife of thy covenant. Okay, and Isha. Okay, but now he brought those two together, and he said, make them one flesh. So verse 15, he asks a question, and did not he make one? That's what it's alluding to in Genesis. Yet had he the residue of the spirit, and wherefore one? In other words, why did he make them one? That he might seek a godly seed. See, all this ultimately is about the destruction of Elohim. He made you to be what he is. We are his offspring. And when you have the thought that you are not a man and you are a man, but you a woman, and you have a thought that when you're a woman that you are a man, that is totally contrary to what the Most High set up. And when you go contrary to what he set up, you don't have peace, you have destruction. And that's why if you look at what goes on with individuals who again are struggling spiritually, are struggling mentally, when you see what happens with them, you understand that it brings about destruction. And you have a society that is feeding into this. You have a society that is pushing this onto children. Why? Because society as a whole is sick, spiritually speaking. A society as a whole is going after Satan. This is satanic, what is going on. This country is in a terrible state of moral decadence shown by the people who even believers are going to vote for. You've lost your mind. Let's pick it up in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 22. Deuteronomy 22, and I'll pick it up at verse 5. Because I'm picking it up here to show you that distinction between male and female is permanent in the physical. Let's pick it up at Deuteronomy 22 and verse 5. This is Torah. It says, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. Now, there is, some would have interpretation. Some would say it's talking about being a transvestite or cross-dressing. Others saying, no, these are talking about specific articles. Even some would suggest it's talking about the armor that a man would wear, that a woman wouldn't wear that, or some form of articles that a man would wear that make a distinction as a man, but in regard to him being a man and not wearing that which a woman would wear. Because if you look at this particular time, just a side note, if you look at this particular time, there was little difference between what a man would wear and what a woman would wear. However, there were distinguishing factors. Okay, so now when you look at that, even today, you look in the Arab world, for example, there's certain things that sometimes the dress can be similar. When I say the attire could be similar, but you can tell that between a man and a woman. See, so the point is, or the principle is that males wear what males wear, females wear what females wear. He made them distinct. They are counterparts, but they are distinct. And so he says, I'm going to read it from the top again. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. He goes on to say, for all that do so are abomination unto the Lord. Abomination means disgusting unto him. You must make this distinction. Let's go to another place and see this. 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians. The 11th chapter, and I'll pick it up at verse 4. It says, now this is in the context of proper worship, okay? And this is also in the context of what's going on very in far in the future, from when that law was given, or that instruction was given. And it's talking about he's making the distinction, the separation, or the distinction between male and female here. That's the point, because that's the principle. See, the principle is for the most part the same, that there's a difference, and that difference must be acknowledged. See, we are living in the twilight zone where people can say, well, you a man one minute, you a dog the next, you a fox the next, you a hyena the next. So when you go against your reality, again, physical reality, you have lost your mind. But what is the purpose of all this? And it is actually not new. It is actually not new if you look from the pagan practices for certain deities and what men were doing. But nevertheless, the point is that ultimately it's about destroying what the Lord set up. This is 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter, and I'll pick it up at verse 4. It says, every man praying or prophesying having his head covered dishonoreth his head. Okay, so he was making a distinction here in this particular congregation because of some things that were going on. He said, and because he's going to set the order of things. It said, but every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven. Okay, then he goes on to say, I'm going to just pick it up at verse 8. It says, for the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. So now if you don't understand that, like, for example, if you're a man and you don't know what you are and you think you're a woman, you're degrading yourself. And if you're a woman thinking that you're a man, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You are denying the order that he set up. That's what you're doing. You're denying the order. Let's pick it up in Ephesians 5:22. What's the order? Wives, submit in verse 22. Ephesians 5:22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Okay, so what does that mean? What is the order? The order is actually father, son, man, woman, and child. But if the child thinks they're the parent and the woman thinks she's a man and the man thinks she's a woman, this is all foolishness. This is all confusion. He's not the author of confusion. Somebody else is bringing about chaos. See, when you go against the instruction that he gave you, when you read Torah, this brings about peace. You know how to live. But if you are going to go through with your own understanding and deny natural law, deny the law or the instruction that you see in Torah, and you're going to set up your own thing, that's how you have so much homosexuality. That is connected with atheism. You may say you believe in him, but your actions say that you do not. That's what Romans 1 is telling us. And your mind is in darkness. You are in a state of spiritual darkness, and you are on your way to the lake of fire. I don't care what anybody tells you. I don't care what this society does to try to console you and to make you feel good in your foolishness, to make you feel good in your sin. Love is telling you what you need to do. You know deep down in your conscience that you try to bury every day, and that's why you have so much conflict. You know that you're not supposed to be doing that. Just like the thief deep down inside knows that's rotten to steal. Just like the homosexual knows. The Lord didn't make you to do that. You can see, you want to feel good in your foolishness, and you want to force everybody to accept that foolishness. That's not what you should be doing. And that's the guilt you carrying around. That's the guilt that's associated with sin, because your very conscience is telling you that it's wrong, but you're double-minded. And you may have a desire or a bad thought, or you may be plagued with a spirit. All of that can be going on in the mind, because the mind is a cesspool. So you need to know how to think. How do you think? You should be aligning your thoughts with the one who is perfect. You should align your thoughts with his thoughts. You consume his law or his instruction, his Torah. That's how you know how to live. That's what it is. It's not just when I say law, you hear law in general pertaining to the first 5 books. It's more than just law of do's and don'ts. Torah is instruction. Torah is instructing you on how to live. And if you are a man thinking you're going to live like a woman, and if you are a woman thinking you're going to live like a man, you're not going to have peace. That's even it, and that's extreme. But even when you don't play your role as a man, if you're a man, but you're not saying you're a woman, but you're not walking in manhood in your house, you're not going to have peace. And your house is going to be chaotic. Why? Because you got your woman at the helm. She's trying to run things, and she's not going to have peace. Why? Because she is out of her position. Now that's if you're not saying you're a male and you're a woman, and you're not saying you're a woman and you're a male, but you are acting in the wrong capacity. You are acting in a wrong or incorrect role, and it will not work out in your life. And that's why, for example, you have many women, and it can progress up to this. To where you have women, they so much in their masculine, so much in their masculine, so much in their masculine, to the point where now you think you're a man. And now you're thinking, man, why can't I find one? You're looking in the mirror, you say, man, people like how I look, but then they hear you. Same thing with a man. A man that is not walking in manhood, what are you doing? What are you doing? So you're not walking in manhood, you walking, man, this society is America creating cream puffs. And everybody's telling you it's okay to be a cream puff, it's okay. What's that song? I'm emotional. What that Carl Thomas, whoever that man, you better listen, you better man up. You better man up. That's what you better do, because that's what he made you to be. Let's go to one more place. One more place. And again, I'm talking about it because when I saw believers talking about more than one, several talking about, and I'm not talking about it in our congregation, but people that I know are believers, true believers, saying, well, yeah, we gotta vote for her. I'm with her. You sound crazy, just to be honest with you. The world you talking about you with her. You need to be with the Most High. You lost your mind. Let's pick it up at I want to read one verse here. Let's pick it up here. I'm in 1 Kings. Because if you're confused, you confused, just look down. It'll tell you all you need to know. And I'm not talking about an anomaly that are few and far between. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the average person. Look down, you know what you are and what you're supposed to be doing based on that. This is 1 Kings 2 and verse 1. It says, now the days of David drew nigh that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man. Now he's saying, be a man, be strong in what? But he's also telling them to be righteous. Okay, because that is a part of manhood. Because that integrity of manhood is shown in the text. The ultimate example of manhood and integrity is shown through Christ when he sacrificed for his bride. But if you're a man, you're trying to put breast on and dismembering yourself, you have lost your mind. And any doctor that goes along with that, how do you go along with that? You should not do any harm to an individual. These people need help. That's not help. You have to look at this society. It's going down the wrong path. It's going down